Hey, everybody, I'm Deb Gabor. Welcome to Brand New World. It is a Friday morning in September, and I am coming to you from the home of the Drippy Horse in Utah, where I've been spending the last couple of weeks enjoying the changing colors and the cool weather. So it's a nice break from steamy, hot Austin, Texas. Anyway, I'm the author of Branding is Sex and Irrational Loyalty. And Brand New World is a show where I bring a lot of really interesting entrepreneurs, business leaders, people who have exciting ideas onto the show. And today we have a very exciting guest, and this is my friend, Dr. Tenesha Weine-Wards. And she is one of my greatest friends in Austin and an incredible business leader. And we're going to bring her in here. We have a lot to cover today, and it's going to be fast and furious. And so why don't we just go ahead and bring her in? I know a lot of people are anticipating this, and we got a little bit of a late start today. But hi, Tenesha, and
Hello.
welcome. I'm so glad that you are here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
All right, awesome. Well, I want to start this off. I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell people, who you are and what is Infinity Wellness Center. And then I've got a bunch of other questions for you. But this is something we've never had anyone like you on the show. And I think that, while I want to talk about your journey in business, the second half of the conversation, I really want to be about, what is your thesis on wellness and what are some takeaways for entrepreneurs and business leaders, specifically with regard to wellness and whatever. But let's start by introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and Infinity Wellness Center.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Tenesha Weine-Wards, owner and founder of Infinity Wellness Center in Austin, Texas. And we focus on finding and correcting the core root cause of things like fatigue, fibromyalgia, GI issues, insomnia, anxiety. And we work a lot with women, specifically type A women in business that have hit burnout. And they've been given other options like drugs and anxiety and antidepressants to kind of fix these problems where they know something's out of balance. And it stems from my history of going to doctor to doctor at a very young age. And I had fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, couldn't get out of bed, was misdiagnosed, was given pain pills, was told I was depressed. I'm like, no, I'm not depressed, I'm tired. Only to find out it was an underlying infection of Lyme disease.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's something that's completely missed. I lost an entire year of my life at age 15. And so my mission has been to help other women who have medical mystery issues figure it out, correct it, and live their life's purpose. And so we see a lot of business owners.
All right, right on. I'm getting a little bit of feedback from you. If you can turn down your computer volume a little bit, because I think what's happening is the volume from the computer is coming back through the speakers. So if you can do that, I know we should. If we had jumped in early, we could have tested all this technology. But you know what? We're entrepreneurs. We do everything by the seat of our pants and on the fly. All right, so. Yes. So, I love that this mission was something that was born out of a specific need that you had, and so many entrepreneurial businesses are. What was the journey to get to Infinity Wellness Center?
Oh, gosh. Okay, how's that with volume? Is that better?
Tom, is that better for you?
Is that better? Yep.
A bit, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
How's that? Okay,
yeah,
sounds good.
Sam says it sounds good. So everybody who's watching this, we have all these technical people behind the scenes, actually just two of them. But just making sure that this all works and that it sounds great. So what was the journey to Infinity Wellness Center? So you're 15 years old, you lose an entire year of your life due to Lyme disease. You have this compulsion to help other people with medical mysteries, specifically women. All right, now take me from 15 years old to Infinity Wellness Center.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a direct path. So I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and it made the news for lots of bad things. It wasn't a horrible place to grow up in the 90s, 80s and 90s. I'm not that young, but I didn't think that I could be a doctor. I grew up very middle class, so I started with a radiology degree, and I was taking X-rays in a hospital. But before that, we went to doctor. It was finally a holistic doctor that found and helped me and fixed me with more things like herbs and detoxes and more natural remedies. And then I continued on to college, and I wasn't happy in my job, a very kind of just middle of the road hospital job. I was sad. I worked third shift in an ER outside of Flint in Detroit. And And so then I ended up going back to school. I was going to a chiropractor complaining about how my body hurt from my crappy job of lifting people all day. And she said, why don't you go be a chiropractor? So then I went back to grad school and I was like, yeah. She goes, like, a holistic doctor changed your life. And I was like, the light bulb moment. Yeah, a little girl from Flint like me can go be a doctor. Why not? And so then I moved to Texas and went to grad school there. And then I took over the practice that I'm currently in, changed the name, but took it over from a retiring doctor, which was kind of unheard of in early 2000s, who practiced similar to what I do today. And so I've been in Austin 15 years practicing.
And how did you choose Austin?
So I was in Houston for chiropractic school and acupuncture, and there's always a guy, right? I was dating a guy in Austin and just fell in love with it and said, if I'm gonna stay in Texas, I want to live in Austin. In Michigan at the time, early 2000s, General Motors was pulling out of Michigan. It was not a place you would want to go and start a business. Like the economy was just not doing well. This is before 2008, and it was just becoming a really tough place for people to make a living. So I chose to stay in Texas for mostly that reason, but then fell in love with Austin, like everybody who comes here and falls in love with Austin.
Right. And we're telling people now, don't come, right?
I know.
I ended up in Austin kind of on a boondoggle. You say it's always a guy. In this case, it was my brother who was getting his PhD at the University of Texas. And I was doing a soul crushing technology job up in Chicago. And he was like, you need to come to Austin. It's a really cool town. And so I opened myself up to recruiters, and I got recruited to a couple of jobs in Austin. And I went to Austin on a boondoggle to get a free trip so I could see my brother. And it turns out I loved the company. I loved the job. I loved Austin. I loved the idea that I could buy a house that was like 3 times as big as my house in inner city Chicago, for like half the money. And then I had to do things like when I got to Austin, I had to buy a car, which I hadn't owned my own car before. I mean, it's really funny. Everybody has these interesting Austin origin stories. And so the guy that you moved to Austin for, is that your husband now?
No.
Yeah, it's always part of the journey, isn't it? It's always a guy. All right. Well, so I love that. Okay. So for everybody who's watching, how Tenesha and I actually know each other is through Entrepreneurs Organization EO. And you guys know I bring a lot of people on the show who are EO members. It's fertile ground for just really innovative entrepreneurs. And Tenesha and I met. I was actually a mentor for an accelerator group that she was a member of. And being an accelerator mentor is like one of the great joys of my life. And it's an experience I've had in EO a couple of times around. But I think Tenesha's group was like my favorite group of babypreneurs, especially because we got Tenesha over the edge and she qualified for EO and joined the Austin chapter. But one of the great things about entrepreneurship is it's this journey that is it's not a linear journey. It's not a straight line. Our friend Todd Palmer, who's a coach and a friend of Soul Marketing and another EO member, he describes it as this looping line to success that looks sort of like this and whatever. And one of the things that I love to hear from people are, what are some of the triumphs and fails of your entrepreneurial journey? What are some of the things that stand out in your mind?
Oh, tough one. I think always, I think just always staying in a place of, and I just read this reading about Jeff Bezos, of first day mentality, right? It's so easy to get stuck in the day-to-day ruts of the business and lose your passion. And one thing you said in our EOA group, Deb, was you deserve to love your business. You deserve to be happy in your business. And I think I've ebbed and flowed in that, right? Like I've resented it. I've, worked really hard in it. I've been disenchanted with it. And it's a relationship. And I think just learning to enjoy the process, surround yourself with people that are in similar situations or entrepreneurs, I think has been a game changer for me, of knowing that I'm not the only person going through some of these ups and downs in a business. And it's just, it's just hard. And being with people who get that and can mentor you is super helpful.
Yeah, I was on an EO board meeting earlier this morning, and the warm-up question for the day, how we always start a meeting, like we have a communication starter or, one word open or something like that. Communication starter today was, what is one thing that you know now that you wish you would have known when you started in business? I want to pose that question to you.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. I think that it's just not always going to be rainbows and butterflies, and you're a business owner and you may work 70 hours one week, and you just have to learn to ride the waves. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be up and it's going to be down. And I did this early in business. I did it last year, right? When it's up, you know, not letting it completely control and affect your mood in your life. Like I can't only be happy when business is going well, because when it's not, or something's not going your way, then you have the opposite emotion. So just really trying to find peace in the storm, because it's going to be up and down every day, whether
Mm-hmm.
that's, the people you're working with, the team, somebody walked out on you, you have to hire someone, cash flow is low, like whatever the situation, it's going to go up and down. And if you can just ride it out, it'll be good next week. It might be Good Friday.
Yeah.
You might have the best employee come across your desk Friday. So just being okay with that ebb and flow, which not everybody's built for.
Oh
That's why
gosh,
I
I'm
think like,
definitely not built for it. I'm such a control freak. That's been one of my
yeah,
greatest challenges, like throughout my entire, not just my entrepreneurial career over the last 18 years, but just like my entire adult life. So for 30 years,
yeah,
being able to like flex and bend with the ebbs and flows and also like not take everything so very, very personally.
yes. I think that's a big reason why businesses don't last, right? I think people truly aren't built for that and need more stability. But then you let it get to you to a point that it can cause burnout, and then you end up in
Mhm.
places like my office, right? The mental stress of that can tank people to a point of like complete adrenal gland burnout kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah. So, one of the things that's interesting about your business that is sort of common with my business and truly is one of the challenges of having a business that is some kind of a professional service that is you're not producing and manufacturing distributing a product. You're not,
Right.
selling things online. And I know that there's an aspect to your business where you do digital content and
Mm-hmm.
you have an online business like that. But like specifically, the wellness practice, it is very, very centered around you as a
Mm-hmm.
human. And my business for many years, and a lot of professional services businesses don't scale because people they want to work with the founder, they want to work with the person
Yep.
who created the methodology. I know the question that we always get is, where's Deb? How are you answering the question of where's Tenesha as you're growing the business?
So that's been a struggle, and that's been something you've helped me with. And we we have a marketing team who you introduced me to, who's really helping us with our branding on that of, you don't have to work with Tenesha to heal. You don't have to work with Tenesha to get well, to get results. I've created a process. The process works. I'm overseeing a lot of cases, but yeah, working one-on-one with me isn't needed to get the results. And I think a lot of that's portrayed in branding, communication, and I'm learning all of that every day as we go. But it's still a struggle, right? And there's certain people that are like, I only want to work with her, and so we're just trying to find boundaries. And I've surrounded myself with what I think is smarter and better doctors. Like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you really want to work with him because this is his specialty. I'm just the one you see, that was the founder on the website. Like, he actually is smarter at this. So we're trying to portray that in a lot of our messaging right now.
Yeah, I know my biggest problem with that is like I actually love the work. Like I
Yes.
really, really, really love the work that we do and I love to do the work. And I feel like I bring this unique point of view that other people in my business who are amazing, and we have like an amazing team who are really, really, really capable. I feel like I have to have like the tip of my finger in every single little thing, that control aspect of it and just that desire, that compulsion to do the work. I think that's the thing that keeps me so closely tied to it. I know about you. You love the work too.
And not everybody does. I just had this conversation with some other EO members of, a lot of people, they're just selling the widget, right? Like they
Mhm.
just they love it, but they're building it to sell it, or they're building it to be a visionary and not actually have to do the work, just have the ideas. Where I think I'm a little bit of a hybrid business owner because I still want to do the work. Where most business owners, their goal, and most business books and EO teaches you this kind of thing, is to kind of get yourself out of a job. Surround yourself with people that you don't have to work every day in your business, but people like us that love it, like we kind of want to do that. So we may not fit into all these business books that teach you these things, because we still want to day to day be with a client, be with a patient. And it's hard. It's hard to be both, for sure.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is. And, these organizations like EO, YPO, Vistage, I would say the vast majority of people come into that thinking like, I need to create a world where I'm working on my business rather than in my business, so that I can create, something that's scalable. I can leave a legacy. I can create multi-generational wealth, all that kind of stuff. So we're fed all of these messages, right? And this goes back to something that you said earlier, which was you deserve to love your business, and you deserve to love your business in any state that it's in. And if you still want to do the work and you want to create a business where you do some of the work and you create this world by design where you're doing some of the work because you're really, really passionate about it, it's okay. But I remember when I first joined EO many, many years ago, the idea of like working on my business and creating something where I didn't work in the business every single day was foreign to me. It was really foreign to me. And then I got downloaded with all these messages of, you need to create something that scales well beyond you. You have to increase the value of the business because maybe someday you want to sell it. Maybe you sell it to employees. Maybe you sell it to a strategic buyer or something like that. You need to grow the value of the business. It's never as valuable with you as it is without you. And so, to some extent, I was sort of brainwashed, but it sounds like, part of your day-to-day challenge is figuring out, like you said, that balance and that integration between doing the hands-on work that you really love, being front and center with patients, clients, employees, and all of that, but then also growing the business. And you know what? You deserve it. Like, despite all of the messages that you hear to the contrary, you can build the business that you want. And a lot of the people who've come on this show, I'll reference Todd Palmer again, say that, this is something like you can build a life by design. You can create something that suits you and the lifestyle that you want to have. So I applaud you for doing that. And also I completely understand and can 100% relate to the trials and tribulations of that, because it is a constant challenge for me to like just get out of the effing way so that other people can ascend to their highest human potential and do those things in their business. So I want to switch gears a little bit. You mentioned something earlier. I think you said was it adrenal failure?
Yeah, fatigue, adrenal fatigue.
Adrenal fatigue. And so that sounds like scary and medical and all that kind of stuff. I want to understand like the thesis, your thesis on wellness. Like, what is your practice and the Infinity Way based on? And, what's the idea there that underlies the work that you do? Because I want people to take away from this conversation some things that maybe they can change about how they're living their lives and what kind of support that they can get so that they can reach their full potential, not just, in business, but just in life in general.
Yeah. So first of all, we've never seen more adrenal fatigue than we have the last 18 months with COVID. And I'll explain what adrenal fatigue is. And I see a lot of business owners burnout. Essentially, it's burnout. So your adrenal glands are two tiny little glands that sit on top of your kidneys that pump out adrenaline, and they keep you upright in times of stress, right? Adrenaline, cortisol, there are fight or flight glands. And our job is to keep all of that in balance, right? And our goal isn't necessarily wellness all the time, you're going to feel good. It's really getting your body to adapt on a functional level. So Western medicine looks at a lot of pathologies or diseases, and we look at more how well is the body functioning, how well is it keeping up with everyday life. And we even look at labs differently. So the labs may give you a functional range. If it's out of this range, you're not, or a pathological range rather. If it's out of this range, you have a pathology or disease. We're looking at a much tighter range. Well, it may not be disease state yet, but it's a high or a low normal, and it's not functioning very well. And you're going to see that and feel that in things like you're running on caffeine only, you can't sleep, you're having an afternoon dip in energy, you can't get out of bed very well. These are all the things that we look at in functional medicine. It's not normal to feel fatigue, and you certainly can't run a good business if you're, hitting burnout. So those are the types of things that we specifically work a lot with women, because I think that we do it all and we're running in the red most of the time, right? A lot of us are doing 10 different things and changing diapers, right? But really lots of business owners, we see lots of people, high level CEOs that are just burning the candle, beginning, end, middle.
Uh-oh.
Go in and find out where the dysfunction is, what's the actual underlying cause. Sometimes it's an underlying infection, sometimes it's stress management. The body's completely given up. We found things like underlying viruses, or you're living in a toxic environment. So these are things that traditional Western medicine isn't looking at for a culprit. And they're just really kind of masking the symptoms. I mean, literally, people get prescribed Adderall because they're tired, not because they're having brain fog, like just to get them off the couch or off the floor. And that's not fixing anything. It's just masking symptoms is really what it is. So we're trying to uncover that.
Yeah. It almost seems like, you used the term earlier, medical mysteries. It seems like there's a lot of just detective work there, health and wellness detective work. What do you think are the most common underlying causes of some of these challenges that people are having?
Yeah, it's a lot of things, but I've kind of narrowed it down to 3 underlying causes of most cases of chronic fatigue, anxiety, depression, insomnia are either an underlying infection, meaning you're dealing with something like a Epstein-Barr virus or something which is an underlying virus that causes fatigue, or it's an autoimmune disorder. Your body's attacking itself, and that can absolutely happen from stress, depletion, nutritional depletion, gut issues. So autoimmunity or adrenal stress. So the body's inability to adapt. We're meant to be in fight or flight for minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
To run from a tiger or a bear. When we spend weeks, months, we're in a year and a half for a lot of people in fight or flight, our body starts to rob Peter to pay Paul. It starts to use up nutrients. You've heard about stressed out people getting ulcers. So it's using nutrients from your gut lining to make more adrenaline. And then you're just having a cascade of, now you have GI issues with your burnout and, you're not digesting food. So then you're even more depleted because you're not getting good nutrients. So this is where, again, you might be given antacids because you're having, gut issues, but really we need to fix what's causing the stress, rebuild the gut lining, get your energy up through food and nutrition. And that's our focus.
Wow. There's so much there. And the idea that the last 18 months, a lot of people have been just in constant fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
I'm a human being that has a tendency to marginalize my own feelings. And I almost don't know when I'm stressed out. Like I don't know emotionally or mentally when I'm under stress. And usually what happens to me is that through some of my activity, I might end up with an injury or something like that, which it's an interesting, like it's the tip of the iceberg, but usually like an injury, it could be something as ridiculous as like a groin pull or something. But then all of a sudden I'm recognizing, okay, I have that pain, but I also have this pain. And then now that I'm taking this medicine for that pain, I realize that my stomach hurts. And then, looking at the underlying issues associated with that, it's like my stomach hurts because I'm under just a huge amount of stress. I lack awareness in that area. I'm curious if there are other people who are just like, I'm a classic overfunctioner just in every aspect of my life. And I almost don't know about these things until they're too late. What are early warning signs for our entrepreneurial brothers and sisters out there to like pay attention to so that they don't end up, with some kind of sports injury that then is, the start of this massive decline?
Yeah. So when that's happening, you're a perfect patient. That's exactly who we see. I think some of the biggest warning signs, if you listen to your body, right? Because I get it. We're busy women. We're in business. Like sometimes we just keep going. But I think one of the number one biggest signs is sleep disruption. So our body needs 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep to heal, for the cells to regenerate every night. So there's your injuries, right? If people are waking up every 2 or 3 hours, specifically, and especially if they're waking up like in a panic, like with the surge of adrenaline, your adrenal glands are telling you they are stressed. They are in fight or flight. They're freaking out. They think a tiger's coming through your bedroom wall. Like they are freaking out. So I think sleep is one of the biggest ones. And with sleep disruption, then comes our circadian rhythm disruption. So if you're waking up in the middle of the night and it never fails, if someone tells me they're waking up between 1 and 3 a.m., I say, okay, what's happening to you between 1 and 3 p.m.? And they're like, oh, that's when I have 3 cups of coffee or I need a nap. Like
Oh,
they're having
interesting.
this surge of energy in the middle of the night and then this dip in energy in the middle of the day. So their circadian rhythms are getting switched a little bit because they're under such adrenaline stress. So sleep disruption and afternoon dip in energy is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think brain fog is another big one. So if you've been running red for a while and your adrenals are tired and your gut's not working, we now know that 80% of our brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, GABA are made in the gut lining. They call your gut the brain. So if people are having brain fog, anxiety, panic attacks, I've had stressed out women like get in their car and they're like, I don't know where I was going. Like that, like it can be that
I call that
severe.
destination. That's when you're in your car and you're driving around and you're like, where the F am I going? Destination.
That's a I'm gonna have to steal. I've not heard that term.
I
Or
love a
just
good portmanteau. I'm a branding person, right?
love it. I'm totally stealing it. Or just at work, like you're missing tons of things that you're like, this isn't me. I'm out of it. Brain fog. That's probably the biggest. The sleep, the afternoon dip in energy, and really, if you're just dependent on caffeine or sugary drinks, period. And then a lot of the brain fog of just I can't remember that client's name. I forgot to be here. I missed a meeting. If that's happening consistently, like take a step back and say like, okay, what's happening? What's out of balance? Get some functional blood labs, figure out what's going on with your body. I say symptoms aren't a bad thing. Symptoms are like our check engine soon light. We need to lift the hood and get some data. Like what the heck's
Mm-hmm.
going on?
I feel like I need to do this right away because it's not something that I've done. And typically, the only time I ever get any lab work done is when I go to like my yearly gynecology appointment. And really what they're testing for are just hormone levels with regard to my reproductive health.
Yep.
And I feel like they might be missing out on things. So it sounds like this is something that people should do, whether they're feeling great or maybe they're having some of these symptoms. It's just good to get a baseline on that. Tell me about what are some of the treatments. So the type of medicine that you are practicing, it brings in a lot of different things. What are some of the treatments for these things that we're talking about?
Yeah, so taking it back just a step is the blood work and the functional labs. You're right. We run about 3 to 4 times the blood lab markers that you'd run at your annual. So we're looking for underlying inflammation, underlying infections, not just is the thyroid working, but is the adrenal glands working, and brain chemicals will run hormones. So once we figure out what's out of balance, we figure out our starting point. Oh, we run stool samples to see if the gut is malnourished and you're not even getting nutrients to make these vitamins, minerals, and hormones. So once we figure out what's going on, we collect the data. That's kind of step one. We use all different types of things. We use bioidentical hormones, we use herbs, we use supplements, diet changes, lifestyle changes. I'll tell you, I had a patient a couple years ago that worked for Dell, and she's like, okay, I know I'm burned out. I'm up at 1 a.m. talking to China on the phone. Like I can't change my lifestyle right now. Can you just get me through the next 2 years with some herbal supplements to keep me upright, to like just regulate? I'm going to retire in a couple years. So sometimes lifestyle changes isn't an option. It's just not an
Mm-hmm.
option. So then how can we help support your body to adapt to the stress you're in? Because it eventually usually does end, right? So we just try to keep you upright maybe until you can make some changes. So it's everything from stress management to diet to lifestyle to bioidentical hormones if your body needs it.
Wow. It's really a fascinating area. And I think, this conversation has barely scratched the surface there.
Yeah, I could talk for 3 hours.
So many things. I like, just as you're talking, I'm thinking about, I'm up in the night between 1 and 3
Uh-oh.
a.m. most of the time. And so this idea of thinking back to like, what am I doing between 1 and 3 in the afternoon? And it is like that afternoon boost of a little bit of coffee. Also things like I'm a daily exerciser, and depending on the time of day that I have a workout, like that will definitely impact my ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. There's also
Yes.
like I sleep in a bed with someone who gets up like 4 times in the night
Oh no.
and does things like wanders around the house or goes and gets something to eat or makes himself a meal or goes to the bathroom or something like that. And so those are things that are lifestyle changes. Like I can't change that,
Sounds
but
like we need to check that
that
person's.
person, yes, we need to check. We need to
I'll
check
tell
in.
you, if somebody's getting up and eating or drinking at night, it's usually blood sugar.
Uh-huh.
So specifically, if you're getting up wanting something to drink, not even sugar, just something, if
Yeah.
you're like, I have to get up and eat, it's usually a blood sugar crash. So eat a simple thing like eating protein before bed can help them sleep through the night. So like,
Interesting.
and I really like turkey before bed because it has tryptophan, which also kind of calms the system. So like turkey,
Yeah.
a handful of nuts, like something high protein, hummus and vegetables, like something like literally right before you go to bed, which seems crazy, right? Like I'm gonna go make a snack of a
No,
turkey.
it totally
Yeah,
makes sense though, because
yeah,
he gets up in the middle of the night and the kinds of things he's eating in the middle of the night are like um rice cakes or chips or like
uh-huh.
carbs.
So
And so
sugar.
so
He's
that
having a
that
sugar
totally
crash.
that totally makes sense. And then I see him, he does like a really, really hard workout at about 6 o'clock at night. And
And he's
so
not
then at 11 o'clock or whatever, when we're going to bed, he's up again by 12:30 or 1.
yeah, so he's not refueling that protein and that, before bed. And that'll keep you up. Like something that simple could change. So then my next concern is he going to get an injury because he's not sleeping those 6 hours to
Mhm.
rejuvenate the cells in the body? You need that uninterrupted sleep for the body to heal at 6 hours. And so, gonna be in my office soon. Give him my card.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting, like how all of these things are completely interrelated. And I love the approach and I love the thesis of looking everywhere for like the root causes of
Yeah,
things and starting, really looking at the whole person versus like just starting with a symptom and treating a symptom. It seems like there's a lot of territory there for people to just feel better longer term. And physical wellness is so important for human performance. And human performance, being an entrepreneur, being a business leader, like just being somebody who's upwardly mobile in your career, you need all the energy
absolutely.
that you can have to be able to just exist in the world. And so, I love what you're doing. I've always been fascinated by your business. And I think you're doing great. I've seen so much growth from you over the
Thank
last
you.
year and a half, and I am I'm honored that you were in my accelerator group, and I loved having you, and I loved that whole group so much, and so proud of what everybody's done, especially you. I want you to like tell our audience, like, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think is important for people to know about business, about wellness, about life, something that you'd like to impart to them?
Yeah, I think, I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn here. I think now more than ever, with the state of of the world, and I'm just going to say it, like with COVID going around, if you are doing things that are affecting your health, like now's the time to take a step back and say, what can I do to be my best, healthiest, strongest self with high energy, high immunity? Like, not even if you're not a business owner, like we know you can't run a business from the couch, right? Like you need energy, you need focus, but now is the time to like work on your body, work on yourself. If you haven't, like without your health, what else matters, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the older I get, I'm going on more and more into my 50s. The older I get, the more that I'm really valuing that. Like I
Yeah.
think I drove my body like a rental car for maybe the first, I don't know, like the first 42 years of my life or something like
Yeah.
that, without a care in the world. And now I realize I have this one body, I have this one brain,
Yeah.
and I have a lot to live for. And I want to, I have so many adventures ahead of me. I want to be like my healthiest,
Yeah.
you know, highest performing best in order to enjoy everything that's, coming on the horizon. So that's I
Yes.
think that's really, really great insight. Um I think we're gonna wrap it up here now,
Okay.
unless there's anything else that you feel like you didn't get a chance to say.
Well, just you said you're very proud of everything I've accomplished. I just want to say thank you for being such a great mentor and having me on the show. And I've learned so much from watching you run your business, and I appreciate all that you do.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's definitely a mutual admiration society. So I want to thank you for being here. And how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website is Austin Holistic Doctor, AUSTIN, Austin Holistic Doctor, DR.com. And we do telehealth, so you don't have to be in Austin to work with us. Yeah, Infinity Wellness Center is the business, but austinholisticdoctor.com is our website. And yeah, if something's going on that you can't figure out and you've been brushed off by the medical community, we'd love to take a look and hear your story and see if we can help.
I have a question for you. Like I'm sitting in my home here in Utah, and if I was interested in like, just running some labs, do you, if you're working with me at a distance, can you send me out
Mhm.
to like a diagnostic lab? I get a blood
Yep.
draw and everything, and then they send you the info.
Absolutely. We use LabCorp, which is nationwide. And
Uh-huh.
then things like sometimes we do saliva and stool and urine. We just send you those kits. You send the specimen in, we get the results. Yep.
Oh, I
Easy
love the
peasy.
idea of gathering my own stool sample. Yes, that
It's
sounds
really
awesome.
fun.
I bet it is. I bet it is.
You're
Okay.
only as healthy as your stool, so it tells us a lot.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I'm going to hit you up. So, Austin Holistic Doctor, dr.com. The business is Infinity Wellness Center. I want to thank you, Tenesha, for being here. This has been so interesting, so fun. I have so many things to think about. I'm gonna have to get in touch because I feel like it's time for me to like, let's look at all this stuff.
Let's do
And
it.
everybody else who's listening, we're going to be back on the 12th of November with Brennan Bliss, who his company is Pixel Cut Labs. Tenesha knows Brennan. He was in
Uh-huh.
that accelerator group. I guess we're just rotating through the whole group or something as guests, but he's going to be coming on. He's an expert in SEO, and he's going to come on. And we're going to talk about SEO best practices. We're also going to talk about Brennan because Brennan is one of the most interesting people that we know. And he's just a hoot, and he's good people, and he's really fun to hang out with. So I hope that we see everybody soon. Take care, everybody. Have a terrific weekend. Have a terrific weekend. Tenesha, do you have any big plans for this weekend?
Yeah, so I'm going on my first mini EO retreat to Fredericksburg with my group, and we're
Well,
going
that
to pet
sounds awesome.
elephants at the elephant sanctuary. So there's that, and climb Enchanted Rock. So
All
these are the
right.
fun things you get to do in EO as a business owner.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, have fun with that. That's with your forum.
Yep, yep.
Okay, well, enjoy your first mini retreat. I think
Thank you.
you will get a lot out of it. Thanks for being on the show. Thanks everybody. Thanks Tom and Sam in the background. Have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Make good choices, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Deb.